King Lear to me is a play, like a few others, that if you're interested in plays, if you love Shakespeare, you know you're going to get around to someday. Certainly I did. I mean, I knew that this was a play that I've thought about for a long time, that I've loved, that I've seen a lot. And it just started to come together for me that this was the right time, that I was, maybe it's because I have 3 children, maybe it's because I have a father who's 80, maybe it's because I myself can understand Lear for the first time, that when I called Stacy, I also, without ever having a conversation with him, knew that King Lear would be a role he had been thinking about.
Lear, probably more than any other role in the canon, requires a kind of concentration and technical ability to pace yourself, also to, it's a very elusive role in this respect. A lot of times if you start playing it too low or without, full-on dramatic passion in the beginning, it loses.
It's extraordinarily written when you work on it because it is a monster, and people talk about it as the Everest of Shakespeare and Everest of a role, but it's beautifully, you find it, he gives you the big bits and then you got some breaks, then you come back and then you get more bits, and it's quite extraordinarily worked out as just a piece of craft by Shakespeare. You're looking at a ruler like Lear, who has never given up power, whose rule was absolute, and a country that is going to undergo tremendous transformation, if not total anarchy and chaos, in the aftermath of his death. And there's a lot of that in the world. Certainly the world Shakespeare lived in, and unfortunately we live in that same world today, and you just look around the globe. Casting is a long process for me, and I sort of put it together trying to find actors first and foremost like Stacy, who have the passion and the love and the ability to speak Shakespeare in a contemporary and a classical way. And kind of naturally went to a number of actors like Steve Pickering and Howard Witt, who are Goodman favorites, who I've worked with a lot. And then really kind of went out there and beat the bushes meeting actors. And I unusually for me, spent a lot of time with actors in an interview. I mean, I did a whole interview process first where I invited actors, I said, let's come in and talk.
Howard Witt and I were just saying, gosh, these kids are so much smarter today than when we were kids. And I said, well, that speaks for you, Howard, not for me. No, I didn't say that. I don't know who it was that went to seek advice from Gielgud about, he said, do you have any advice? And he said, for this young actor who's getting ready to play, Lear. And, he said, make sure you have a light Cordelia. It's a famous line.
The worst experience I have in the theater is when I have no feelings whatsoever coming out of the theater and say, hey, where do you want to go have dinner? I mean, to me, I like to have a debate with a play. Yeah. I like to argue about a play, and I like plays that sort of rile me up. Yeah. I mean, Shakespeare's Lear, to me, is a play that inspires awe and terror. And I have to say, in many productions I've seen, it wasn't there. Shakespeare needs not to be a museum piece. It needs to be alive. And for me, the way to do that is to embrace often contemporary imagery. Right. So if we talk about Katrina, if we talk about the death of Castro, if we talk about war in the Middle East, I can't help but bring those images in some ways literally, some ways poetically, or it certainly informs our thinking. So as a company, yes, we're performing a 400-year-old play on stage, speaking language that was written 400 years ago. But sometimes you'll see contemporary imagery that'll make you think of today, right, which I think is a good thing for audiences to do.
People say it's a sad play at the end. It's sad. It has a sad ending. It's sad. It should rip your heart out. Not, it's sad. It should tear your heart out.